Yeah, hello. So I will just switch now to English because we decided to do this event in English to also include all our international students. My name is Linda and I'm from Oikos Graz, and we created this event with collaboration with Icons. And so what will happen today? So first, I'm super happy that you're all here, and I hope you're not just only here because you're forced to be here. And then we just want you to briefly introduce Oikos and Icons, and then I will hand over to our speaker and our moderator, and we will have our panel talk until approximately 8 p.m. And after that, it's your turn, and you can ask as many questions as you want. And at 8:30, we want to finish this event. So with this, I just want to briefly introduce Oikos Graz. So Oikos Graz is a student association in Graz, and we are committed to promote sustainable business and responsible management. And for this year, we're very happy to have a lecture here to see the business context. And Oikos Talks is our event series to inform, connect, and discuss important issues related to sustainability. And with these words, I want to hand over to our partner for tonight's event, because they also want to introduce themselves.
Yeah, thank you, and also thank you to Oikos and Channel for the nice cooperation with this event. So many of you probably have heard of Icons before, so it's going to be quick, I hope so. So in Channel, what does Icons do? We conduct consultancy projects for our clients. So as a student, you can already participate and consult and advise clients in different fields of expertise like strategy, marketing, human capital, and also we are trying to increase our participation in ESG projects as well. What we also offer our members is a really nice learning opportunity, also besides the projects with cooperation partners such as BCG, Google, Rosenberger, and many more. And we also do occasionally some events, like for example, tomorrow we have the Innovationswettbewerb here in Graz, for example. And the third pillar, I would say, of Icons is the community and the network aspect. So already over 500 alumni in our networks that work at Google, at Microsoft, at BCG, at McKinsey, and many other companies as well. And it's also always a very nice opportunity to reach out to them and get tips on a daily basis. And what I also want to encourage and motivate that Icons is not a company, it's an association. So we also do a lot of fun activities like yearly team building. We do events in Graz, but also in 2 weeks we're going to Vienna to connect with all the other Icons members in Austria. And as I said before, we are really globally, so our alumni are really all around the world and work at very, very different companies, have founded their own startups or work at large multinationals. So it's really a perfect opportunity if you want to get in touch with the corporate world. And with that, I'll already hand over to Oikos as well and the panel talk. Thank you again.
So the word is yours. And we have today our 2 speakers, and I would ask you to briefly introduce yourself. Maybe you want to start, Katharina?
Sure. Hello, thanks for inviting me, first of all. My name is Katharina. I'm the founder of actually the one last remaining zero waste store in Graz called Minimali. I have first gotten into sustainability when I was working for one of the first zero waste stores in Austria. And I did a social media there because the owner was a single mom of 2 kids and she just didn't have the time or the means to do it. And to market such an interesting and broad range of products, you of course have to get to know them. And I really just couldn't stop being invested in sustainability anymore. And well, I actually was a student at University of Graz. I actually still am. I'm doing my master's in English, which actually helps me today because I thought I wouldn't ever use it anymore.
Hey everyone, my name is Sarah. I work for Nice Shop, which is a e-commerce company specializing in lots of different online shops in different niche areas. We also provide business fulfillment, which means we work with other companies to provide logistics solutions for them. I've been working for Nice Shop for 9 years. It is my 10th year in Graz. I'm originally from Michigan. I moved here on a Fulbright scholarship to teach English, which went very well until I found out I'd have to redo my education if I wanted to keep teaching. And I was extremely lucky to be in the right place at the right time when Nice Shops was looking for someone to do English translation. I started doing customer service, English translation, just about everything you need to get a web shop off the ground. So you can imagine anything you see in Google is something that would have been translated by our team. And now I work in human-focused dynamics for my team. So anything that comes up for the translation department that has to do with managing people is my special area. And I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, thank you. And I think now we can start with our panel discussion, and the word goes to our moderator. Thank you.
And I would like to thank you both for being here. I would like to start with you. Work at Nice Shops. Nice Shops has rapidly grown over the last couple of years to over 500 employees. How do you realize sustainability in such a company with such growth?
So sustainability has always been an important part of our business plan. It's always been a part of our growth model and has a lot to do with who we are. The company was founded in the garage of our CEO's house. He started in Southeast area in a very small location, and as we've grown, it's really done a lot for the area in Southeast area. We employ a lot of people for our region. So as we continue to grow and continue to think of sustainability, we think of it not just as sustainability and are we being eco-friendly, but also are we being socially responsible for what we're giving back to the community. So the bigger that we get, the more people we have working with us, the wider our net is of things that we are aware of, which is really important for sustainability. Everyone who works at the company has their own contribution to make to how we are sustainable and what kind of initiatives we can do. And having more people within the company gives us lots more input on projects that people are aware of or things that people know about, which has been a really great resource for us.
Thank you. Yeah, Minimali, how did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, well, as I already mentioned, I already was working at a zero waste online shop at that time. But the owner decided to go study again and become a midwife. So the idea was that I kind of take over that already existing business. But I figured it would be just too complicated, and I just wanted to start off with something completely new. And of course, I needed a partner, so I got myself a partner. And the first thing was, okay, we needed a name. So what are our main problems we want to solve or we want to take a look on? And there are so many wordplays with sustainability and veganism and whatnot. And then we decided Minimali, coming from minimalism, of course, is actually a wordplay coming together from our names and our beings as well, because my partner's name is Marlene, so she's Mali, and I'm tiny, and that's why I'm Mini. And so it's Minimali. Yeah.
So Minimali has does a lot for example, zero waste products. You sell a lot of zero waste products.
Exactly.
Could you like quickly explain to the audience what that means?
Zero waste in general?
What it implies, yeah.
Well, first of all, I need to say that I'm not that big a fan actually of the word zero waste, because we will probably never reach the point of zero waste. So less waste would be a better term for that. The thing is that you should repurpose, reuse, and just get the most out of a thing, a product, a packaging, whatever, until it really is completely worn out. So it's not single-use plastic, but it's I guess, kind of okay if you have plastic that can be reused millions of times until it breaks down eventually, or yeah. So just reduction of waste is already part of the zero waste movement.
What does that mean for you in your shop?
Yeah, well, zero waste for me includes, or less waste for me includes lots of other factors as well, such as veganism, because without veganism, sustainability is really hard to achieve. And this is actually one of our main pillars at Minimali. All our products are completely vegan, which is also what kind of separates us from different zero waste stores, because lots of products are made, for example, from beeswax, and we really want to avoid that as well. So everyone who shops at Minimali can be completely sure not to buy a non-vegan product. Another one of our pillars is originality. So we don't want to have products that come from the US or from Australia or from somewhere far away. So we try to stay as regionally, as locally as possible. We have products made in Graz, made in Styria, then the rest of Austria, then Germany. Germany has a huge market in sustainability products as well. And yeah, so that is our main focus.
And for night shops, can I ask you the same question? Like, what does zero waste mean for night shops? Do you have things in common? Do you have things you do differently?
That's a very wide question. Yes, I think one of our big focuses is how to reduce waste within our offices. We obviously employ a lot of people, which generates a lot of waste. One of our newest projects has been to work with regional suppliers for food. So we feed our employees at our offices. The meals that we eat are made using local ingredients. You also order every day for whatever you would like to eat a week ahead of time, so that we're ensuring that we're not producing excess waste in our kitchens. There are also much smaller scale projects that are around our offices to reuse any of the waste that we produce, or make sure that if we have leftover food, we're also serving the community. Our kitchen does also provide meals for other businesses in the area, so that we're using our resources wisely. Within our shop, we also do have shops that focus more on sustainability. Some of them are focused on eco-cosmetics, for example, and there we do look to see if we can work with manufacturers who are using reusable plastic or avoiding plastic at all. It's a super broad scale of how we incorporate zero waste. It's also a part of how we heat our building, how we compensate our energy. So I could talk for a really long time on that question, but I'll say if anyone has a specific question afterwards, please feel free to ask. And I don't want to take up too much of our time.
But you also mentioned you have specific shops with sustainable products. Could you tell a little more about that?
Yeah, so two of our big shops that come to mind are Eco, that is an eco-friendly cosmetic shop. We sell all kinds of different cosmetics from around the world that are focused on being sustainable and, if I can say so, healthy, and that we're not using toxic ingredients. Another shop that comes to mind is Biolingo. It's focused on eco-friendly cleaning products, which, as we know, are a big source of plastic. But we have one of the coolest products that we have are tabs that you can drop into a bottle of water, so that you are creating the product at home instead of paying to transport heavy liquids. So those are some of the types of things that we sell.
How do you decide which products you take on, or which products? It's a question for you both, actually. Interesting. How do you decide which products you take on, which shops you take on, or suppliers?
Well, hours and hours and hours of research. Sometimes we visit a production site or the manufacturer in general and just meet them in person and see if whatever they tell on their website really adds up with what they are actually doing. Yeah, well, like I said, we have some main points that we really want to have a product to have, which is it's vegan, it's either plastic-free or refillable or usable. It's as regionally produced as possible, and the manufacturer is as a small company as possible, because already in the zero waste or sustainability branch there are so many companies that are huge already. They don't need us to help them grow. So our idea is also to help other small businesses grow.
Do you recognize it, or is it different for you?
It's really different because Nice Shop is quite a large company, so we have over 40 different online shops in different niche areas, and how they are managed are very different depending on who the shop manager is for that shop. There are several shops that are worked on collectively under an umbrella. That means that in order to efficiently use our resources, we have teams that work together. We have one person who specializes in purchasing, for example. That person, depending on what their goals are for this network of shops, will make decisions based on how they want to meet their goals. We also have other individual shops like Hands on Veggies or Pure Skin Food that are very focused on sustainability. They are managed by individual shop managers who are not working as a part of this other balloon. It's really different depending on the shop. Some shops have more of an eco-friendly focus than others.
Interesting that you mentioned Hands on Veggies. That's, for example, one of our products as well in our store.
It's a great conditioner.
Advertising. Have you faced any challenges in like sourcing and curating your products?
Definitely, because we cannot visit every manufacturing site. We sometimes have to just trust what it says on the website, or sometimes have a call with the owner or something like that. But of course, greenwashing is a huge topic, and it happens way more often than we would hope for. For example, when we first started our business, we started as an online shop. We wanted to have like hair accessories for like hair clips and stuff because it was made from wheat and not from plastic, and it was really great. And the company just advertised it like we have the best sustainable hair accessory. But when the package arrived, every single item was packed into plastic. And we opened it and we closed it again and sent it back because if we just had unpacked it and sold it like that, we would have committed greenwashing, because we also want to guarantee to our customers, to our community, that we sell plastic free.
Could I ask you, you mentioned greenwashing, to explain the concept of greenwashing if anybody in the audience is not yet familiar with it?
Yeah, well, greenwashing is when a company washes their products, their ads with words such as eco or green or better for the environment without actually explaining how it is better for the environment or green or eco. And these are just like special terms you should look out for. If you see an ad from a company, maybe that you don't recognize it's too much of a eco-friendly company, and it suddenly uses products and terms like eco-friendly, it's probably not that eco-friendly. It's maybe still the outer package maybe is from paper, but inside it's still plastic, or the ingredients are toxic or something like that.
Do you recognize this?
Absolutely. I think one of the challenges in greenwashing and recognizing what brands are certified is that certifications are quite expensive. It can be a really timely procedure to become certified as organic or Demeter certified or Leaping Bunny or some of the other popular certifications for what we consider to be green cosmetics. And for us, the biggest difference is trying to establish a relationship with the brands themselves so that we really know who are the people behind the company, what is their philosophy, what are they striving for. Because some of our best vendors are not at a place yet where they can have those certifications. They're not earning enough to be able to afford to pay for a Demeter certification, for example. And that doesn't mean that it's not great quality and that it's not really great products, but knowing who is behind the brand goes a really long way in deciding if you want to work together for a brand you consider sustainable.
If this is also an interesting question for both of you, if there is a way for people to easily use one of your products or any other tips you have to switch from making a change in their lives to have as large as possible impact, to be zero waste or eco-sustainable, would you have any recommendations what a person could easily change in their lives?
Well, anything that is plastic free or is a plastic free alternative is already one step. You don't have to change your whole day, your whole bathroom equipment or anything in one day just to be more eco-friendly, because that's not eco-friendly. When you have already perfectly fine products at home, it's making much more sense to just first use them up and then maybe look into an alternative. I think the best example would actually be your toothbrush. You use it every day. You should change it every 3 months. And considering how much plastic waste that would be, it would already make a big difference if it's a toothbrush from wood or bamboo, something like that.
I would actually also like to ask you both a little about the business side behind what you're doing. You, for example, are a very large company with a large volume of orders. I'm not sure about your volume of orders, but I think it's a little smaller. How do you do that? Like, how do you make it work sustainably?
One order or?
Yeah, like the order process.
Yeah, well, we use already used packaging. So from every order we get, we keep every cardboard, paper, anything, paper filling material. We have never ever bought one single pile of filling material because we just get so much. Why would we just throw it away? So we also do not print out any bills or delivery slips or anything because everything works already by email. Yeah.
For us, our packages are designed to be made without tape. So we have really innovative boxes that you can actually fold together and seal without needing to use any plastic-based materials to seal them. We also work together with bicycle couriers as much as we can to ensure that we're reducing our carbon emissions in that regard. Another project that we've been working on is working together with other delivery services so that we can make sure that our shipments are going out with other shipments. It might not necessarily be from our company, but we're working with a network of companies to ensure that if we're sending a transporter full of packages, that transporter is full, so we're not wasting any emissions sending out half full shipments.
How do you both deal with returns, for example?
Actually, have a really low amount of returns, we under 3% from our products, which has a lot to do with what I do for translation. We're making sure that the customers have all the information they could possibly need before they even think about ordering the product, so that we're not sending orders unnecessarily. We also have a as needed ordering basis, so our warehouse isn't sitting full of products that no one is using. Our stock is measured by our computer system to make sure that we don't order new products until we really know that we're going to ship them or sell them. It's a very complicated process. I'm glad I'm not a part of. But in general, we try to make sure that we are operating in as sustainable a manner when it comes to shipping and ordering.
What happens when a product comes back? Do you use it? Do you throw it away? Or
actually, quite a lot of our products that come back are reused. They're either resold if it's something like a 3D printer where we needed to change out a part. We very rarely get back any cosmetics because obviously if you open something, we're not going to resell that. So it doesn't make sense for a customer to return it. We would provide compensation for that in another way, and ask them not to return it, just gift it to a friend, or we can use it in another way. Otherwise, every once in a blue moon, if we do get something shipped back, it's quite often gifted to the staff. We have amazing little shelves. We either get deliveries for special occasions, like at Christmas, our warehouse will, whatever has been shipped back that can still be used but can't be resold. We do a little raffle and our staff gets the leftovers of whatever is there. Quite fun.
I'd like to ask you as well, like.
Yeah, well, in return, actually, I have to say we since we launched our online shop in 2021, we had, I think, 2 or 3 people in general who came to us and said, hey, I really can't get along with this product. But most of the time it's just like Sarah already said, our main product range is cosmetics. We can't take open cosmetics back. So we also just recommend just gifting it to a friend, or maybe if it's really sealed or something, you can bring it back to us or send it back to us, but it has never happened actually before.
Great.
Must be nice. Okay, so you're both working in sustainable companies. How is it with, for example, work-life balance, or providing your employees with a good work-life balance, or making sure you're socially sustainable in such a way?
Sure. I think that we're really aware that the world is a changing place, and that the up and coming generation is not looking for a 9 to 5 situation the way it was in the past. We have quite flexible working hours, which means you can start working at 5 in the morning. The latest you're allowed to work is 8 p.m. at night. Depending on what department you work in, you might have core hours. For your translate, for example, we need to be there between 9 and 2 because those are our main hours of communication with other departments. So if you have meetings, it's important to be online in that time. Otherwise, it's very flexible what time you can work. If you need to take I don't know how we translate site ausgleich. If you work more hours one day, you can work less hours the next day and use it as flexi time, which obviously gives you a lot more convenience of when you need to do something, or if you have to physically be in the office or not.
I think as an entrepreneur, it must be a little more difficult for you.
I just wanted to say that it's hard to find a work-life balance when you're a small business owner, because you don't work 9 to 5, you don't even work 8 to 4, you work 24/7. You think about work all the time, but when you made your passion your job, it's really nice. So it's not annoying that I'm thinking about work all the time for me, because I think, okay, how can I make progress with that, this and that. In general, we have quite a lot of free time because our store is open 5 days a week, and one of us is at the store for 2 days a week, and on Saturday we have a student who works for us, which is just 5 hours, and I think she can do that as well. Yeah.
And how about the topic, since we're at the topic of social responsibility and social sustainability, how do you deal in your business with the topic of inclusion?
Inclusion in terms of?
Well, you have a little more employees than you do, but you just mentioned, you have a student helping you out, or you might hire people in the future. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if is it a topic for you at all?
Oh, well, yes, of course, and not at all, because everyone who wants to work for us, well, I read about, I think a bakery which didn't ask any questions to job appliers, so they just took the best person, and I think that applies as well, because who are we to say you can't work for us because you're, I don't know, disabled or from another country or speak a different language, because there are quite some people coming to our store who speak no German, no English, and we still manage it. Yeah.
And for night shops?
Nice Shop actually does have a social responsibility team that works to actively ensure that we're hiring people who might not have chances with other companies, whether they're physically disabled or mentally handicapped. We have several people that are working in our warehouse and our offices, who may not be visually impaired or hearing impaired or physically impaired. So we do have quite a diverse team of people that we work with.
How do you educate and raise awareness among your customers about sustainability, about responsibility?
Well, I actually just had a talk about that with my partner, because if we wouldn't educate our customers, our community, we would just be part of the problem, because we don't want to say buy our product because it's better. Buy our product because it's better because, and then we have to go into that. So how do we do that? We have our blog where we give information about how our products work, how what we think about certain topics, or give tips about how to live more sustainably. For example, just in Graz, because I wrote an article once about how to get from A to B when you have to carry a lot of stuff. And there's actually a free service in Graz where you can rent carrier bikes. And that's just one of the things we do. We also, of course, have a huge, we spend a lot of time on social media and just visually showing how to use our products and how easy it can be.
And for you, do you do anything to raise awareness about social responsibility for your customers?
I think one of our biggest touch points for that is directly through our customer service, because we have a customer service in 14 languages, with native speakers working in our department. And they're the ones who have the direct contact with our customers who are writing to ask if they can send something back or to get more information about our products. So that's a really direct line to explaining to people, okay, this is why we don't take returns. This is why we'll offer you an alternative if you would like to return a product, if we can. That's one of our most effective ways of keeping in touch with customers and letting them know what our philosophy is.
Do you also collaborate with other organizations or partners to promote sustainability or further your cause in any way?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different initiatives that are going on in our company. Among them are, of course, our bicycle couriers. We also have our own sustainability team within the company. Unfortunately, no one from our sustainability team could be here tonight, so you guys are stuck with me. But they're working on all kinds of different things, whether it's working with e-cars. We have a fleet of e-vehicles that we use to go back and forth between our branches. So they also work with Tesla and e-car companies to make sure that the cars that we're using are the most efficient that we can, that we're loading them correctly, everything there is to know about how to correctly store and load e-cars. We also work with our farmers in the region for our cuisine to make sure that the meals that we're serving are coming to us in a sustainable way. There's a lot of different initiatives that are going on many different levels, from a small scale to a large scale.
Do you collaborate with other organizations to promote?
Yeah, well, as a reseller, we kind of always have to talk to other brands and companies. But other than that, we sometimes, when we have an event, we always try to make it as fun regionally as possible. So we always try to also get drinks and food from local producers and stuff like that. We try to just get in contact really with the people themselves in Graz and the producers. But it's a completely different scale, nice shops to Minimali. So we're not really in contact with farmers trying to produce our food, but would be nice, yeah.
It's interesting that you say that it's such a different scale. Because I have the feeling you guys also have a lot in common. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, definitely, because I knew nice shops actually from private, because I'm a huge plant nerd. And and there's one company, I think it's called Garten and Bienen or something like that. And I used to order there all the time, all my garden supplies. And that's when I first noticed nice shops, and then I got into eco cosmetics, and then Ecoveria, of course, popped up, and yeah.
I think we probably have more in common than you think, because a decade ago when I first started working there were only 10 of us in Graz, less than 10 depending on the day. So it's easy to forget that we were a startup in the beginning, and things have kind of grown and grown and grown and grown. But I remember what it was like. We used to pack our parcels ourselves for Black Friday. We had a tiny office that was right next to the train station in Feldbach, and when we had a big volume of orders, everyone would pitch in. The Graz office would come and pack parcels on Saturdays to make sure everything got out for Christmas. So kind of miss those times.
Yeah, maybe we'll get there eventually. We're only here for not even 2 years, so still a lot to come.
Right, that's what I had to do.
What sets you apart actually as Minimali from other shops? We just talked about things you have in common. Let's talk about things that set you apart.
Well, we like to think, we think that we want to take a step back from overconsumption. So in our store, we don't offer, I don't know, 10 different brands of soap, but just one kind of brand that we decided would work for everyone. I mean, of course, it's very subjective, but until now, it has worked for kind of everyone. So that is actually the one thing that really puts us apart from other stores. We sometimes take a look at other zero waste stores in Austria and Germany as well. And we see that there are differences. They have these big brands, they have products that use animal products. And of course, they offer so many options that you sometimes have difficulties to choose from. So we just really want to have one brand that we think is worth pushing and supporting. And for now, until now, it has worked just fine.
What's that you about?
So I think for us, Night Shops is quite a big company and we're operating in so many different niche areas that sustainability is an overall pillar for us. Even though we don't offer only sustainable products, we don't offer only vegan products, everything that we do as a company is built around sustainability for how we operate on a day-to-day basis. So we're not quite in the same place when it comes to minimalism or it comes to being completely zero waste. For us, we do make sure that we're matching our carbon emissions. We've been carbon neutral since 2018. So it is a really important part of how we operate as a company. However, part of being able to have this large reach and having this large area of influence is that we do have to go outside of the traditional sustainable areas like cosmetics or sustainable food, because we need to be able to branch out to bring everything together, if that makes sense.
Hey, how are we doing on the time?
You still have like 15 minutes.
Oh, that's fine. In that case, I'd like to talk a little though about what suggestions or recommendations, according to your business or yours, would you give young people, or especially students, that would like to start doing something with sustainability for themselves?
Well, especially for students, we get this question a lot of times because it always says zero waste or sustainable products are so expensive. And yes, they are one time, but then never again most of the time. Because if you buy a razor, for example, at our shop, it's 50 euros, which is a lot of money, but you have it for the rest of your life. And the only thing you need to buy for that is just these little razor blades that are no waste at all. Or hardly any waste at all, and are super cheap. And so if you try to really calculate it, a really good example actually would be menstrual products, because single use tampons, most of the time packed in plastic, are really expensive. And if you have maybe a reusable alternative like a cup or menstrual panties, you can use it for probably the rest of the time you have your period, and you can save a lot of money if you buy one period panty for, let's say, 40 euros instead of buying tampons worth of multiple hundred euros for the rest of your time having your period.
I have a question for you guys. How many of you live in shared flats? Okay. So I think one of the most obvious ways to start is if you are living together in a space where you can share things, where you can buy soap in bulk, so you're buying a liter or 2 liters at a time, and you're sharing that. Being able to pitch in to share things that everyone uses is a great way to take a small step towards being more sustainable, where you're sharing the cost, but you're also sharing the benefit.
I think also the question that a lot of students have is if they want to start a business in sustainability. Like, do you have any tips for them in that regard?
Well, the best time for that would have been yesterday, so just get going. No, it can be hard, of course, and there are definitely many obstacles, and I'm not just talking about greenwashing, I'm talking about the Finanzamt and just a lot of things, just a lot of things you have to think about, you definitely not do think about when you first start thinking about it. But it really pays off just if you are really passionate about it. So if you think about starting a small sustainable business and you are really passionate about it, there's actually no thing that should stop you.
I think my advice would be the same advice I would always give, and that's if you're looking to start a business, look for people who can help. I think we're kind of used to, especially after the whole Corona years, you're kind of in your bubble. You don't necessarily know your neighbors or the people around you, but by reaching out to the community, you're already on a good way with like both with icons. There are plenty of people in your community that share the same passion that you do, and a lot of us will be very willing to help or give you advice or mentor you, or share a little bit about what their journey was like. Even if it's something like going, for us, if we're reaching out to the farmers that are around Feldbach to say, hey guys, what you got? It's really surprising who is willing to do a partnership with you, even if it's something like trading parking spaces to make sure that people who are coming in have enough room to park, or that we're doing a park and ride so that people can carpool together and leave their cars in a neighbor's garden. Wherever people have room, there are a lot of things that you can do that might not necessarily cost a lot of money that people are willing to do to help you if you just ask them.
All right, well, I'm out of questions.
Then with this, I would suggest we jump now to your questions. And I hope you had some interesting insight into your business. And now, yeah, you can ask whatever you want. Yes, people.
Hi, first of all, I appreciate both of you are doing for our environment. And what I wanted to ask is, to me, resource efficiency is a big part of sustainability. And you mentioned that you work a lot with small businesses, and I can't help but wonder if maybe larger businesses might produce more efficiently. And maybe also more cheaply, making sustainability more accessible.
Well, that might actually be the case in a lot of cases. But the thing is, you can't become a large company, or you can't grow when you have not when you don't have the back of anyone. So that's just what we kind of want to get started on, because when we support smaller businesses, they can grow, they can improve their resource use or resource waste in that case. So you're definitely right, but we need to start somewhere.
Next question. Yes.
Live in the middle of a crisis and prices get higher every day. What is your answer to people who just can't afford to live in a sustainable way? So I don't know, for example, if they go shopping, they would always prefer the store brands, for example, SPG over, I don't know, your products, because it's more cheap in the short term. Of course, in the long term, it's more sustainable and even more cost efficient, but in the short term, for these people, those products would not be affordable at all.
I totally get that. I am a small business owner. I don't have money to throw out the window. I also need to take care of what I spend money on, and I definitely can understand that some people just say some people just can't afford our stuff. Definitely, it's always, I think, personal mindset, because I didn't care about sustainability or veganism or organic farming at all until a few years ago, until I learned about it. And when I learned about it, I didn't really want to go back. So even now, when money is tight, I still prefer organic produce in comparison to other stuff. But yeah, I can totally get that. It's a thing you need to come to terms with yourself in that case. I hope that sufficiently answers the question. Sorry, money is difficult. Yes.
For me, it's about priorities. Like, there's very few of us who could really afford to buy only sustainably, only fair trade, only organic, only vegan all the time. It's just not realistic enough yet for our current market. However, there's lots of small changes that you can make, even if you're looking at apps like Too Good To Go. If you're buying your groceries from an app that is telling you, oh, you can get dinner for 6 for what you would pay for 1 serving, you know, or if you're picking up food from the grocery store that might be really close to expiring, you're still keeping your costs down and doing something that is beneficial for the environment. So starting on a scale that works for you is already a great way to get started. And we have a lot of resources in Graz. Even we have these wonderful farmers markets where you're interacting with people who are directly from the region, and some of their food is extremely affordable, especially for things that are grown right here. Those are already really great ways to start.
So as a small business owner, what I want to ask is the market pretty competitive on its own, and what do you do from the marketing side to increase your RPM, CPM, and exposure in general, stuff like that?
Well, competition, of course, is always an issue, but we actually do not like to see us as competitors to other zero waste stores, because there should be more of us. There should be like millions of us, like there are in supermarkets, like there are cheap drugstores and stuff. But yeah, it's extremely difficult, because maybe other people, other zero waste stores, other sustainability stores do not see them as competition friendly as we do. But yeah, we just really try to be ourselves, show us as authentically as we are. And I think maybe that is actually a lot that helps already, because we are just a small business. We cannot compete with nice shops, not at all. But we grow our community step by step, with video per video, photo per photo, and really just like to get into touch with the people, our customers in the store. I sometimes think they are really happy they can leave now, because I sometimes do not stop talking, and so that's just the way we try to keep up.
I really appreciate the idea of sustainability, but for both of you, at the end of the day, it's still a business. So I would be interested in how what the end goals and just how you measure your success. At the end of the year, we made this much amount of money, or do you, like, how do you measure your success? Is it just about the money, or is there philosophical goals, so to speak?
That's a great question. I think for me personally, I can't speak for the whole company, but the vision is really to leave the world that we're operating in as a better place, whether that means that people are coming into work and they're happy to be there and they're not thinking like, good God, when can I go home? It also means that we're using our resources wisely to give back to the community, to give back to the environment. For me personally, it's been really rewarding to be a part of a company for almost a decade now, where I see who is working with us, the vendors that we're working with, the people who we're interacting with as customers and clients, the people who I interact with in my department, like what kind of value are we providing for them? And when we get fishing pictures from some guy in Texas who said, oh, you know, I'm visiting and I tried your shampoo and it's amazing, and here's a picture of my trip, and we think, okay, like this is someone that we've connected with, who maybe this is one small experience that they came away feeling positive. Or in my department, we have a really low turnover rate. A lot of the people that I've been working with have stayed with us over the last 6 to 8 years, which is pretty amazing for the climate that we live in and a company of the size that we work for. So I think my personal take home is, am I happy to be here? Is everyone around me happy to be there? And are there measurable things that I can see? We added what are they called, bee boxes to our biggest branch. So when you walk in now, the first thing you see are our bees that make honey for our cafeteria. And it's something small, but every year we're adding more things, we see an impact on the environment, on the people, and for me, that's really rewarding.
Super nice answer. I like the story about the bee.
Oh, there's a
That's from Garten and Bienen, right?
well, we have there's beneficial insect gardens that are around the perimeter of our property in South and close to Feldbach. So it is actually really sweet to go out after work and see all the insects buzzing around.
Yeah, well, I'm a small business owner. I have not even 2 years of experience in that area. And I still cannot really live from the money we make from Minimali. And that's just something that is a fact. And that is probably the case for every startup who hasn't been through Shark Tank, 2 Minuten, 2 Millionen, whatever. We didn't get, or we didn't want actually like a huge investor guy who's then actually just kind of already in that point telling us how to do our business, because that's not how we want to do our business. We want to show that it's easy to live sustainable, that it doesn't have to be too expensive. And yeah, so of course we need the money to survive as a business, but it's definitely not our first goal.
Again, I was wondering, is there a product that you consider like classically greenwash? Like, I don't know, reusable cotton pads or something. Is there something that you think is not sustainable, but many people think it is? Popular misconception.
Good question. Well,
I think for me, one of the things that it comes down to that we touched on earlier is how is that product shift? Not necessarily one specific product that comes to mind, but cosmetics as an industry, it often happens sometimes for safety regulations. A product might have to have a plastic seal, or it might have to have plastic around the rim. But there are some products that are easier to buy than others, like a solid shampoo, for example, is a lot easier. You know that it's going to be shipped in a reusable paper box, for example. So for me, one of the things that I would be really cautious about is how is this product coming to, if you're buying it in the store or if you're buying it online. Maybe the product itself is sustainable, but what about the packaging and what about delivery journey for how it gets there?
well, I actually would say whenever there's a better alternative to the product you're already using, think about if you really need it, because the only product that is useless is the one you buy and just stands in the corner for the rest of its life. So if you really need it, it's fair enough to buy it, and if you don't, just don't.
Okay, so thank you for the talk first. I think your businesses are the perfect proof that it's possible to implement really sustainable measures in a company and still be profitable. So one question I have is, what would you say are the main challenges for your 2 companies to implement sustainability measures? So this may be a bit more a question for you, Sarah. What are the main challenges for Nice Shop to that hinder you from implementing even more sustainable measures? And also as a follow-up question, how would you say how can the management of your company be convinced of doing more in this area?
I think one of our biggest challenges is distance, because we're located close to Feldbach. It's out in the country. People need to drive to work. Finding sustainable ways for people to come from wherever they live into the office, that's our biggest challenge when it comes to sustainability measures. We do carpooling. You can rent bikes or lease bikes from us, e-bikes. If you are able to cycle into work, that's an option. But it's still not always going to be the best option for people who are traveling from further to get into our office. We have our own sustainability app when it comes to travel within the company. It's an initiative to give people points if they're carpooling or walking or cycling or biking or taking public transit. So there are incentives, but overcoming, are people driving alone? Is it possible for them to carpool with anyone else based on where they live? That's a really big challenge to overcome. I think that's been our biggest area of focus, and how can we reduce the carbon emissions that are generated from people who are coming to work. Can you remind me what your second question was?
Yeah, what would you think, how to convince people in management of implementing sustainability measures, whatever that might be, but what would you say is how did you do it in your company, and what are possible ways to convince management of implementing sustainability, more sustainability in their company?
In our company, thankfully, there was very little work to do because it was always a part of the company vision to be a sustainable company. In general, I think it might be a bit of a cliche, but there is a generational gap often between people who are working in management and people your age who are in university, and what your values are, what you're looking for in a sustainability, in a sustainable company. I think one of the things that is very relatable for anyone in a management position is the bottom line. Sustainability is going to be a part of future companies. There's no way around it, whether we're talking about EU regulations for emissions that we need to meet. I think one of the strongest arguments is being an early adapter. Whatever we can do now to make sure that we're well ahead of the game in the future is worth the investment. And there's a lot of small scale things that you could do that would make a big impact, even if you're doing things like emission compensation. So I think if you really needed to convince someone, for me, it doesn't seem like it's a hard reach to connect the idea of sustainability and future-oriented business.
So just one more remark, because you mentioned that to be ahead of the game, one thing that also comes to my mind is the new sustainability reporting duties that are coming up in the next years. So is that already a topic in your company? Do you already and you already prepare for that?
Yeah, we're working on it at the moment because one of the areas we want to focus on is the vendors that we're working with, as well as the shipping companies that we're partnered with. So we're working on collecting and evaluating data now of, are the vendors that we're working with tracking their own emissions? Are the shipping companies that we're working with, do they have an idea of what their overall emissions are, and of those emissions, are we able to track what our contribution to that is? So that's an ongoing project.
Any other questions? Are there any questions in Zoom? Have you checked?
There are none. But maybe I still have one more question. Is what would you say, in your experience in sustainability now? What would you wish for at a broader level, at a more structural level? Like, what do you think would incentivize more companies to become more sustainable? Like at the policy level. Is there anything where you say, as people who are really involved in the matter, that would help really to transform our economy?
Yeah, well, definitely politics need to take a lot of steps now. But the thing is, you need to kind of keep in mind that all of these decisions would also affect small companies, while there are huge companies and all companies and, you know, just the biggest polluters in general who are still not being taken out of the calculation from that. So they can still pursue whatever they are pursuing while ruining our environment. whereas small companies such as Nice Shop, there's minimalist, not that's a small company, you know what I'm saying. Well, they are trying to do their best already, and there just aren't as many possibilities for them.
I think that on a policy level, policy can seem like a huge hurdle for a lot of companies, because you have conflict between the company's desire to be profitable and their desire to invest in a sustainability measure that might cost a lot of money upfront. For some companies, it's just not, it doesn't feel like a realistic option. I don't know what you could do policy wise, but I think on a public service level or on a person to person level, one of the best things you can do is communicate or try to reach people who are in your community so that the word gets around that there, you might not be able to rapidly change everything overnight, but there are a lot of small steps that you can take now to work towards doing something bigger in the future without necessarily going bankrupt.
I just want to ask one question. So the meaning of future for you, like the plan that you are going to implement your ideas, do you have to target plans for the 2 years, 3 years, or you are going through the way that you planned before, and if something happens to you, you change the way?
Our planning is set up on a quarterly basis, so we're constantly evaluating what is working now, what do we see as a possible challenge for the future. Especially in this environment, it really needs to be a constant feedback system to see, okay, well, these are the resources that we have now, these are the systems that we have in place now, are the systems working that we're already using? What else is on our radar that is on the horizon for the future that we think would be a possibility for us? So when it comes to forecasting or planning for the future, we do a lot of data analysis for the quarter now, the quarter behind us, the quarter last year, and what we anticipate is coming for the quarter ahead, the quarter after that. So for us, it's a constant feedback of what is working now, what can we do better. So it's pretty much ongoing. Basically, every 2 weeks, there'll be new data that we can think about. A lot of work, but worth it.
Thank you.
And are there any further questions? If not, then if there will come questions up future, I make QR codes with the LinkedIn profile of our 2 speakers, and here are their names again. So if you want to reach out to them, I'm sure they are happy to answer also your questions afterwards. And yeah, with this, I would say thank you that you came and joined our talk, and I hope you could all gain some interesting insights. And yeah, we all gained like 25 minutes now because I misplanned the beginning and I thought we need 20 minutes at the beginning, what was basically then in the end 5 minutes. So yeah, we also have a small present for you. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you got now interested in Oikos or icons, you could either, like, when you want to meet me from Oikos, you could come to the Gecko Festival, which is this weekend in Graz, the Graz Eco Festival. I don't know if you know it. We have there like a stand, or you can just the Hauptplatz, and you can just email us. And I think icons, they have just every year a recruiting phase, and you can just write them there. And thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed it.